Greetings, ladies and managers, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Humanity Has No Enemy Except for Itself, or How Even Orcs Are Wary of Humans, written by OrangeGalen. Gerteth walked with slow, beleaguered steps towards the High Orc Lord's throne to give his report. His mood morose and irritated. His breathing was deliberately even, to not allow any sign of his wariness to escape in the presence of the High Lord. For an orc, created for conflict and endurance, to display tightness was the ask for death. But Gerteth felt the report needed to be given, and he would risk death to deliver it. What had been a standard run-of-the-mill raid had turned into an unexpected bloodbath, specifically a bloodbath inflicted upon the wrong party. Reaching near enough to the throne, he kneeled, grimaced in pain as the movement shifted an arrowhead still embedded in his shoulder. It was lightly bandaged, as he hadn't waited for more before heading here.
My lord, I bring news that you must hear.
The High Orc Lord, HFY, shifted the skulls of numerous species, which made up the throne creaking in his movement. Gerteth resisted a shiver. Lord Ursef stood and spoke, his voice collected and calm.
Then speak. My raiding party chanced across a new human village at the eastern edge of your territory. It is still new and developing, and we sought to cripple it and take new slaves,
Gerteth explained.
I can only assume resistance was stiffer than you thought, as you are wounded, and I can hear none of the usual festivities of a successful raid,
Ursef keenly observed.
Resistance is too light of a word, my lord,
Gerteth responded. After a motion to continue, he did so.
The humans fought fiercer than a feral wargs. They had few true warriors among them, but even those who were young and elderly grasped tools to fight us. Even the females. The whole village rallied, and their ferocity saw all but myself and 3 others die in battle.
If he had not seen it, Gerteth wouldn't have believed it. He'd raided elven and dwarven settlements, even raised an angel's roost, yet none had offered such ferocity on this scale. Normally, if a race's fighters were killed, the rest submitted, albeit unwillingly, or meekly resisted the orcs' dominance. Likewise, if their fighters defeated the orcs, well, every orc is a fighter. That mere untrained peasant humans could defeat an orc party, especially his, was unthinkable. And yet, that is what happened.
This is the first time you fought humans in open combat, is it not?
I recognized this behavior from others that had fared the same. Ursef spoke.
Even I have fallen into this mindset, after several raids against them to get cocky. And then, suddenly, your entire party is slain when they should have been easy prey.
He scratched an old scar on his throat, one that had been there for longer than Gerteth had been spawned.
You are just unfortunate to have this happen on your first raid against them.
Unable to contain his rage any longer, Gerteth spoke up.
It was a coward's tactic, pretending to be weak to lure us in. My lord, we should rally a full war party to crush that village. Teach them why orcs are feared amongst the races. They are weak now. Their village will burn, and we shall enslave the survivors too.
No. The single word that came from the High Lord immediately silenced Gerteth's tirade, leaving him in confusion.
My lord,
Ursef was lost in thought as he stood from his throne, wandering aimlessly before coming to a halt in front of a window, overlooking his conquered territory.
They weren't cowardly. At least that village wasn't. It wasn't a trick, except one you created in your mind. Have you ever wondered how the humans came to exist, Gerteth?
Gerteth stayed silent for a moment while choosing his words, confused by the non sequitur. He never thought about humans except in how comparatively weak they were, and made only mildly useful slaves. He wondered why his lord brought this topic up.
I can't say that I have, my lord. Every race instinctively knows their origins,
Ursuf said.
Legends from before remembrance, ingrained in our species' psyche. We know the primal darkness molded the first orcs in competition with the first radiance's creation, the elves. That angels and demons came from the holy and hellscape realms, both locked in eternal conflict of light and dark, brought into this world. Years ago, I had the opportunity to ask a human slave which god created them, or how they came to be. They responded, "I don't know."
Ursuf scoffed.
Even the lowest and most addled-minded goblin knows their progenitor, the shunned god Klebeth, and his saga. Yet this human shrugged, and I could truthfully see he didn't know, nor care. I asked that of other slaves and received the same answer. They don't know. That is interesting, my lord,
Gertrude said, unsure of this line of theology. He was a fighter, not a philosopher. Yet this is what set Ursuf Gar-Ortex apart from other orcs. He thought ahead to the future, rising above the bloodlust haze their race fell into. Ursuf grunted in amusement, not fooled by Gertrude's attempt to sound like he was following along. Throughout my life, even before I became High Lord, I was always curious about the other species. I noticed similarities we all share, for each species has a creator or creation origin, and each has another that is perfectly counter to them. As orcs against the elves, dwarves against the goblins, angels and demons, the fae and the geists, and so forth. A near-perfect counter to the other in all aspects. And then there are humans. No known creator god or formation story. No consistent alignment for the light or for the dark. No true opposite species to fight. Yes, we fight them just as we fight the elves, but all the other species quarrel from time to time. But by the blackness, the humans fight themselves as fiercely as the elves fight us. They can be as cowardly as a lone goblin, yet can also fight with the fervor of a dragon. They can be both Dark Lords and Light Lords, but most just are. I would almost consider them to be the only true grey faction. Gertrude was puzzled now. Even he knew that each race operated on the dark to light spectrum, and would definitively fall into one side or the other. But for a race to be grey, truly unaligned. My lord, what are you saying? Ursuf stayed silent for but a moment. I believe that humans are possibly the biggest threat to every race on this world. No single species is their rival, their counterbalance. Wipe one town or village out, and 3 more will spring up elsewhere, slowly creeping closer by sheer tenacity. They're as ingenious and skillful as any dwarf or goblin, and can fight with the grace of an elf or the brutishness of our race. A human can be as depraved as any demon, and another can be as radiant as an angel. It's almost like they were designed to have all aspects of each race, but not to be constrained to one. Gertrude felt an abnormal chill form the more Ursuf continued, an ominous feeling somehow creeping into his mind, that humans could be the cause of this unease. Ridiculous, yet. Unlike the other races, they have no counter, leaving them unchecked except for themselves. They are the only ones that wage true warfare against themselves. Not even our turf brawls against other clans comes close to the devastation their walls bring upon their own species. As an orc, I can't help but admire that carnage. Ursuf gave a singular dark chuckle. And that is what worries me, Ursuf then admitted, that the only thing preventing humans from dominating all the races is themselves.
Humans don't have a rival species because they themselves are their own counter. I worry that one day they could potentially rally under one banner and wage war upon other races like they war upon themselves. There wouldn't be a damn thing any race could do about it, and the balance of the world would be thrown off. Ursuf looked more like a beaten warg than a high orc lord at this moment, and Gertrude felt humbled by his lord letting down his guard, if only for a moment. As if hearing his thoughts, Ursuf straightened, becoming the hardened orc lord that he once was. So, no, we will not attack that human village, at least not yet. Let them have this victory while I gather as many of our kin as possible. Then once assembled, we'll fall upon the humans in the full rage of the orc. We shall strike the first blow. Remind them why we are the war race. You shall heal, Gertrude, and once you do, you will join with all of your brethren in our march. At his lord's declaration, Gertrude's fears were abated, and his warrior spirit renewed. A fight, even a future one, would always boil the blood of any orc. My lord, I will do so, and then we will all ruin what humanity treasures. All orc kind will. He stood with a near feral grin and marched to find the shaman healer to tend to his wound, eager to start his own rampage against those humans. As he walked away, Gertrude didn't hear the words Ursuf muttered to himself, the words echoing in the empty throne room. Unfortunately, I fear it'll take all of us orcs to even halt the humans, if even for a moment. I truly despair that it'll be a fight we can't win. There's something about humans that makes even an orc like me pause. Even orcs hesitate fighting humans. End of story.
There is a new legend on the horizon. Blueberry Cat has taken the T6 Patreon spot. Thank you very much, and I'm sure that I speak for everyone when I say that. I would just like to thank our T5 members, Lord Azrakal, Ambrose Cattell, Quantum Wednesday, Drexoon WRE, Blueberry Cat, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Bushmaster 177, and Leslie 517. Thank you very much.